5 major plane crashes in the United States over a 4-week period is not normal. It is, however, the canary in the coal mine. It shows you the symptoms of a major disease that Donald Trump does not understand, nor does he appreciate the value of federal workers in the FAA, in the National Safety Transit Board, and other regulators that make our air travel safe. And now we are dying as an American people as a result. I'm Michael Popok. You're on the MeidasTouch Network and Legal AF. I don't think it is a coincidence that we've had 5 major plane crashes, 3 in red states and 2 in blue states for those that want to get political, ever since Donald Trump became president. Not when you put somebody like Sean Duffy as the head of your transportation department. Not when you put election deniers and government works for the people deniers into major offices. Not when you got willy-nilly, without concern for American safety or value or welfare, you got federal workers from every major agency that's responsible for making us safer, making our health safe, our workplace safe, our air travel safe, our food and drugs safe. There's a repercussion for that. And we are watching it. You can call it a signal from beyond, but it is not normal to have 5 major airplane crashes in which 85 people died in 4 weeks in America. In fact, the plane crash that happened in the District of Columbia, of all places, out in front of the White House, in which an American Airlines commuter jet was crashed by an Army helicopter, in that airspace, that was the first set of deaths on in a major air crash in 15 years. We don't think that's a signal? Donald Trump talks about the fact that God picked him to be president. Well, something or someone had a major plane crash happen in D.C. right on his backyard. And this one is important to me. And this one I take personal. As many people know, I formed the Popok firm recently. And one of our first clients is a family of somebody who died in the American Airlines Potomac crash. So I take it seriously. And I want to put this into perspective. Sometimes we lose historical perspective. We're so into the moment. We're so into rapid response. We're so into, the velocity of news stories and the news cycle that we lose sight of history. Is this normal? No. We've had a total since January in terms of total plane crashes, we've had 87 accidents involving aircraft in the United States since January 1. That's not a normal number, right? We had 62 in January, 25 in February. We've had not 1, not 2, but 5 major airplane disasters since Donald Trump's been president, since he's gutted the FAA. He just fired on Friday, just 3 weeks after the DC crash that took the life of one of my clients. He just fired on Friday hundreds of people in the Federal Aviation Administration, the FAA. Hundreds got the axe in a midnight firing on Friday. Is this the time to do it? In fact, Senator Maria Cantwell, who sits on the Commerce Department overseeing the FAA, said in question, is this the time to get rid of engineers and others responsible for checking the safety of 74,000 pieces of equipment that make our air travel work? Is now the time for that? To Donald Trump and Elon Musk, it is, because they don't care about the human condition. They don't care about your safety or my safety or mortality. They care about money. Elon Musk wants to point to, I found fraud in the FAA, so I got rid of all those people. And I killed people as a result. Take responsibility. Blood is on the hands of the Trump administration. Trump administration has blood on their hands for killing people. And just to remind people, because it happened so quickly, you may not remember where these things happened. We had the DC crash that took the lives of 67 people. We had a Philadelphia crash, an Alaska crash, an Arizona crash, and we just had a Delta plane flip upside down, okay? Just to go through the timeline here, January 29th, 9 days after this administration took over. So it's on their watch. They own it. American Airlines flight. 64 people died after a Black Hawk helicopter crashed into it. All right? 2 days later in Philadelphia, a medical jet carrying a child patient crashed, killing everyone on board, including the child patient. 7 people died in that crash on January 31st. 6 days later, right on schedule, February 6th in Alaska, a small plane lost, 10 people died. February 10th, 2 more private jets collided in Arizona. And on February 17th, a Delta Airlines flight flipped over, sending 18 people to the hospital. And what does Donald Trump say about it? Is he comforting us? Is he taking to the podium? Is he putting his arms around us as a consoler in chief? No, he's not. Is Sean Duffy doing that? First of all, I'm not consoled by Sean Duffy. He and Elon Musk look like, they're in the running for who's going to be the angel of death in the Trump administration. They just need a scepter and a black hood. We're ready to go. So is he saying, don't worry, I'm going to get to the bottom of it. I know we're suffering. I know Americans are dying in record numbers in air travel since I've been president, but it's not my fault. Just let Elon Musk and his Doge go look at the current air traffic control system. And finally, entities like unions are fighting back. They're going to be, the unions are going to, representing federal workers, are going to be on the front lines of many, many lawsuits that I'll be covering on MeidasTouch and on Legal AF. This episode of Legal AF is brought to you by Graza. Everyone knows I love food, and lately what's taken my food to that next level of flavor is Graza. Graza is my olive oil of choice. It's top-notch, extra virgin olive oil at an affordable everyday price. Graza is always fresh, never blended, and made from one kind of olive from one place. The Piquillol olive from Jaén, Spain, where over half the world's olive oil is produced. Graza has not one, but 2 olive oils that come in a super fun squeeze bottle for ridiculously easy sizzling, drizzling, and everything in between. Sizzle, their everyday cooking oil, can handle the heat with a smoke point of 410 degrees Fahrenheit. And it's great for baking, sautéing, and, well, anything you cook. They also have Drizzle, a super punchy, flavorful finishing oil that can be used to whip up a salad dressing, dip a baguette into, or even drizzle over your ice cream. It's seriously the best olive oil you'll ever taste. Look, I'm a big home cook, so quality olive oil is essential in my kitchen. First, I always have a giant bottle of olive oil right next to the stove for every occasion, and I love Spanish olive oil. The sizzle has been great for cooking, and I love the squeeze bottle format for easy cooking. I'd highly recommend it for any home chef who likes to cook with high quality and delicious tasting olive oil. Graza is just like what restaurant chefs use, plus what pours out is vibrant, super fresh, and aromatic in a way that supermarket olive oil, well, it isn't. Listeners to our show will get 10% off your first order of any olive oil on their site, but I wholeheartedly recommend the Graza Starter Kit. You'll receive 2 squeezy bottles of olive oil, sizzle for cooking, and drizzle for finishing with an extra kick of flavor. Plus, they'll include 2 refill cans. So if you run out of olive oil, there's no need to buy a new bottle. Graza makes it easy to be eco-friendly with their refill cans that are perfectly proportioned for your sizzle and drizzle squeeze bottles. You can also find their bottles and refill cans on shelves at a Whole Foods or Target near you. Both the Squeezy Duo and the refill can seal in freshness and block out light to maximize flavor and quality. So head to graza.co, and use Legal AF to get 10% off your Graza Starter Kit and get to cooking your next chef quality meal. The National Air Traffic Controller Association, known as NATCA, NATCA, they are now doing their own independent evaluation as to the impact of these several hundred, it's hard to believe I'm even saying these words, several hundred federal workers responsible for air safety fired on Friday in the midst of all of this. And what was the reaction from the universe? A Delta jet flipped over in Minnesota. Now's the time to fire people. This administration doesn't even know what people do in the administration. They don't even know what people do in these departments. I just did a hot take just did a report about they fired in the energy department a whole group of people and didn't realize they're responsible for the nuclear arsenal. They're responsible for creating and dismantling bombs and making the nuclear submarines of our Navy propel. Oh, those were those guys? Get them back, get them back. And those people were saying, we're not coming back. It doesn't matter. You trained us for 5-8 years. We have top secret security clearance. We're not coming back. They don't even know what these people in the departments do. Elon Musk, he hates government. He's got an allergy to regulators. He's the one that's going into the FAA to determine what new systems are going to be used for air traffic control. FAA is the same regulator over his rocket program. We basically outsourced our rocketry to Elon Musk. NASA's out of the rocket business. Yeah, they're in the social media business. They show you pretty pictures and videos. But they delegated their entire rocket program to Elon Musk, and the FAA is responsible for that. And he's the one that's going to be redesigning the FAA's computer systems. They've been trying to redo those computer systems for the last 30 years. I've been hearing about every administration needs to do something about it. I'm not sure it's exactly what's happening now, but as recently 5 or 10 years ago, they were using index cards on tracks to keep track of planes. Yes. You have more power and more AI tools on your phone than the FAA has in regulating planes. Right? That's from the controller's standpoint. But not every one of these things I just outlined, the 5 things I just outlined, 5 crashes, major plane crashes involved air traffic control. That plane didn't flip over in Minnesota because of air traffic control. There are many people, right, that make our air traffic hum. And Donald Trump and his people don't understand what they are. Because they start with a jaundiced view that the government is bad, that the government regulation is bad, that if we just let capitalism take over, we'll have the best and safest and most profitable businesses if we just get the regulators out. There's a reason we have regulators. Have they not read any of the books from our history? Did they not read The Jungle by Upton Sinclair about the meatpacking industry? The reason the meatpacking industry is barely tolerable today is because of exposés in books like that. Now they want to ignore regulators. Left, let's be frank, left to their, and I'm a capitalist. I'm going to make that, I'm not a communist. But I'm all for regulation and for the role of a properly functioning government to intervene, to moderate the worst instincts of a capital system, to make sure that its people are protected. That means regulation. That means social safety net. That means public health. That means public education. That means food stamps and food programs and early childhood learning, things that private sectors are not equipped to do or won't do because they're only motivated by profit. So now we've got profiteers and the robber barons running our government. They didn't even do that in the Gilded Age of the 1920s and late 1800s. We didn't let, Rockefeller, Morgan, Vanderbilt, Carnegie, we didn't let those guys into the government. The closest we got to that was Joe Kennedy, the father of JFK and the grandfather of RFK Jr. We put him in charge of the Securities and Exchange Commission, a stock swindler. but I didn't think we'd see it again. Elon Musk without remit. Then they actually had the balls. They had the balls in a court hearing on Monday to look a federal judge in the eye, the same federal judge who was presiding over Donald Trump's own criminal case, the DC election interference case, Judge Chutkan. And the lawyers for the Department of Justice looked her in the eye and said that Elon Musk doesn't have any power, that he's not really part of the government, that he doesn't have any formal authority to do the things that we know he's doing. The FAA just fired people because Elon Musk told them to. A Social Security administrator just quit after 30 years on the job because she wouldn't turn over our sensitive financial information and medical information to Elon Musk. Is this a different Elon Musk? The fact that he doesn't have any formal authority, yeah, I get that, because the organization they slipped him into, the Doge Services, is the webmaster for America. So no, the webmaster, the guy that does your IT, is not supposed to be the guy that fires the FAA or other regulators. Getting hot now. getting hot on this story. I told you why. Because I have a personal connection to it. And we're going to continue to follow. I don't want more planes to fall out of the sky or to flip over on a tarmac. And I'm glad that the National Air Traffic Controller Association, the NATCA, is looking into with own independent investigators as to the impact on public safety and air safety on the dismissal of the 200 people on Friday. And I want the Senate to open up an inquiry as well. I said it before, I'm going to say it one more time, and I'm sure again. This Trump administration is already failed and failing. It is lurching from one crisis and constitutional crisis to another, and planes falling out of the sky and flipping over on tarmacs, and 87 people dying already under Donald Trump's watch is the symptom of a deeper rooted disease that we need to eliminate come the midterms. Yeah? And if you have anybody in your life that has been impacted by the things I've just talked about, draw them closer. Find good counsel for them. You know, I've got my new firm. So in the meantime, I'm Michael Popok, and this is Legal AF and MeidasTouch Network. In collaboration with the MeidasTouch Network, we just launched the Legal AF YouTube channel. Help us build this pro-democracy channel where I'll be curating the top stories at the intersection of law and politics. Go to YouTube now and free subscribe at Legal AF MTN. That's at Legal AF MTN.